Happy Podcastaversary to us. Happy Podcastaversary to us. Happy Podcastaversary to the universal
needs. And us.
And us. Happy Podcastaversary to us.
Hooray!
And many more.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Well Shit. It really is that simple. I'm Claire.
And I'm Serena. On this podcast, we help you to understand about your 12 universal needs, why they are currently not being well met,
how to meet them in ways that work for you, and how to consistently do so in quick, easy, and simple ways that fit seamlessly into your life.
We'll also help you to understand how doing so will have a positive ripple effect in literally every area of your life.
If you like what you hear, come and join the conversation in our Facebook group.
And enjoy the show.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, everyone.
So today we are celebrating. Yay, we're celebrating because...
It's the Larry episode.
No, it's not the Larry episode. Not yet.
It's even better than the Larry episode.
It's better than the Larry episode because, well, we were going to say that this is our 1 year anniversary of podcasting, and this is the beginning of season 2. And then we checked the episode numbers just a minute ago, and turned out you got a bonus episode.
Yay, we love
season
bonuses. Yay for bonuses.
This is our 54th episode that we are recording right now. Can you believe that? 54 episodes.
Well, shit.
Well, shit indeed.
I remember sitting, like when we were first talking about doing this, and we were working with a business coach, and they're like, it's the first 7 episodes. A lot of people don't make it past their first 7. They run out of content. And we were like, I think we can do 7.
I think we can do 7, yeah. I think we can get to that point.
We can get to that point. And then we like planned out our first 7. We're like, yeah, no, we're doing good. And it got to a point where, I mean, there's such a backlog of content. And
so we've got so many in the pipeline ready to record. And at one point, Serena said to me, she said, you know what? We could record podcasts, like literally full-time, 5 days a week, and still not get out the amount of podcasts that we want to get out and all the content we want to share.
Well, and it's because we talk about life, because we talk about our lives and what's happening and the universal needs, which are constantly showing up. Why?
Because everything you do every second of every day is done to meet your needs.
We didn't even practice this shit. Look at how far we've come. There was a point where I wouldn't have been able to do that without reading from the screen, and you would have known I was reading from the screen.
You go back and look at some of the videos early on. It's very obvious. It's like, okay, I'm looking at the camera. No, what am I saying next when I'm looking at the camera? Like there's a lot of that goes on.
We've come so far.
We have. And it's so funny because I remember when we first started talking, like before we even got to the conversation with the business coach, I remember when we first started talking about this, we were actually not together. I was in the UK and we were talking about, and it was funny because I've been asked to do a podcast for years and years and years. And people were saying, oh, you should really do a podcast. It'd be amazing. You've got some great content. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And then I remember the day that I said to Serena, I'm like, what do you think about doing it together? And yeah, there was a face. I mean, there's often a face.
There's often a face.
I mean, there was a face is a very common like sentence in my world. There was definitely a face.
Kind of like fucking Joe.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit like, yeah, absolutely. But like, can you remember how you felt when I suggested that you do the podcast with me, that we do it together? Like, what was your feeling about that?
You gotta be fucking kidding me. She's in the UK. Sure, I'll entertain that idea. And then it started happening. I was like, I had to be, we're going to record, we're going to do a video podcast too. Okay, so I have to be on camera and lines. I've always been told I have a good face for radio because of my facial expressions.
So I think your facial expressions are what make this podcast half the time. Like, I mean, the entertainment factor, like if you haven't ever seen any of the videos so far, if you're only watching on the audio, go over to YouTube. There are previews of every single one of our podcast episodes on YouTube, or go onto Patreon and watch the video because, I mean,
I'm a living emoji.
Yeah. She is. It's true. true. She is actually a living emoji.
And sometimes I'm the two bunny dancers and the alien and the zombie all at once.
Well, and the funny thing was, like, I remember when we were talking about it, and then we started to get sort of seriously like talking about it, and then I remember we were like, oh, we're going to need equipment. What equipment do we need? I don't know.
Well, no, even before, let's pause that and actually go back a step, because before we had equipment, before we really had a real idea of what the hell we were getting into, we were like, yeah, we're going to do this. We've been talking about, let's just do the first episode. Let's do our Move Over Maslow episode.
And we did that when we were apart. When I was still in the UK.
It was in my bathroom. That was
literally, she was sat on her bathroom floor.
It was the only place that had
a decent, like,
I mean, and I'm not even sure the right is
well,
the right
it was the best setup within the context of the environment that we had at the time. But literally, she did and it's funny because we've talked about the fact that we're going to put the bonus out of that pilot episode. We are going to put it out on Patreon. I think what we'll do is we'll do it as part of our kind of first birthday or our
Podcastaversary.
There we go. It's almost like we practiced it. But not.
No, it's Claire keeps saying birthday or anniversary, and I'm like, Podcastaversary.
Try saying that a few times fast. It's not easy. I'm just going to be soft. I'm going to be honest. I forgot what I was saying now.
My bathroom.
Oh, we're going to put out the bonus episode just for our Patreon subscribers, so you'll be able to. And believe me, the sound is not going to be like you're used to hearing on here. The flow
going to be.
It's a little.
You do get a tour of my bathroom.
You do get a tour of the bathroom. I mean, it's pretty cool. You get to see everything.
I spin in
the
a
bathroom,
full circle for you, like
full 360 of Serena's teeny tiny bathroom. Because she actually has two. That's the teeny tiny one. Like yes. the other one's a bit bigger. There's more space to maneuver, but this one's the teeny tiny
right.
Like
one. You can spin in this bathroom, and then the other one you can spin with your arms out like T-Rex style.
You can spin in this one. You might take a bunch of shit out with you as you do it, but you can spin.
Welcome to the Keys, where everything is tiny.
Everything is tiny. Except for the number of our podcast episodes. Woohoo! So it's funny. And then we kind of, I said, we had the conversation about what podcast equipment do we need? Like, I don't know. Now, the fact that we actually know a lot of people that work in sound apparently that didn't occur to us. That wasn't like, let's go and ask somebody which recorder we should be using and which microphones we should be using.
And not just like they have an idea about sound. Like these are professionals.
And these are people we're close with. I'm like, yeah, maybe we should have actually asked them. But no, what did we do? We went onto Google and we did our quote unquote research because I'm like, we all know that that's not really research, but we went and did our thing.
We gave it a good go.
And the funny thing is that that one of the people we know who works in sound came into my house when all the order had just come in, and we had the recorder and we had all the microphones set up on they were just sat on the end of the bench here, and he was like, these are really good. And I'm like, awesome,
nice.
Like, apparently we did a good job.
Yes.
And we
don't believe us.
And this is the thing, is like I think there was at one point where I don't know whether I thought we were really going to do this. Like there were moments along the way where I'm like, are we really going to do this? Are we really? Because the one thing that I've resisted from the beginning of of starting my business way back in 2010 or 2011, is I resisted doing anything on a regular basis because I'm like, that's a commitment. And especially when you're doing it on your own, if you get sick or you go away, that's very difficult to maintain. So I'm like, are we really going to do a weekly podcast? And there were other people who were like, oh, that's sweet, you're doing a podcast. Like,
even now they're like, oh, cute. Oh, you have a podcast. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, you got a couple episodes? I'm like, yeah, a few
50 plus.
And then they're like, oh, you have like a podcast. And I'm like, well, it was a podcast at 1 episode. It's a podcast at 54 episodes.
Exactly. So the funny thing is that, Serena and I have talked at length about one of our favorite bars here in town, which is Bobby's Monkey Bar. And it is the place that we go and do karaoke. And one of our favorite songs to sing as a duet is Bruno Mars's Uptown Funk.
Copywriting laws, I believe, make it so we cannot share it right now.
Yeah, we can't put it on and and I'm not sure that you'd want to hear us singing it. We wouldn't get the choreography. When we started, we wouldn't get the choreography.
You wouldn't get the choreography.
But the funny thing is, every time we do, like, there was this one time when like years ago when we did it in there, and it actually wasn't for karaoke. This started, I think, on my Celebrate Being Alive day when we decided we wanted to start karaoke. Well, karaoke doesn't start when the bar opens.
Yeah, because it was a double. It was that, and then the dancing in the rain, and then we confirmed the choreography from earlier.
So what ended up happening was that we were like, oh, well, we want to start the karaoke, and we're locals, we're regulars there. So what we did was we put Uptown Funk on the jukebox and got on the stage with a tambourine and just started singing. And the bartender's like, okay, okay, you just left us to it. And we ended up just randomly, because we're both dancers, we ended up randomly putting this choreography to it. And then, as Serena said, later that day we ended up having a little dance party out in the tropical rainstorm in my backyard. We also put Uptown Funk on and kind of confirmed, and now it's become this thing that every time we do it, it's not like it's like a full choreographed routine. There's these
5, 6, 7, 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, spin, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's not what we do.
Well, not a karaoke.
Not a karaoke anyway. And the funny thing was is that we've just got, and they just naturally fit the music. So
and now it's almost like it's weird to not do it because it is so easy and it fits, and it's like,
and the funny thing is that people are like, oh my God, they've choreographed it. It's like, no, we just started moving in time with the music. Right. So anyway, so this has become one of our favorite songs, and especially as we were kind of putting together the podcast and we were kind of getting into our groove with it, I decided that I wanted to do something. It was actually also around the time that Serena got her diagnosis, and I wanted to do something, just kind of lift her a little bit and something fun. And so I had this idea that a lot of people really didn't believe we were going to do this. Like we talked about it like, oh yeah, you're going to do a podcast. I'm like, no, I'm going to do a podcast. And so I decided to have these shirts printed for us. And this is the first time we've actually worn them on the podcast, I believe. So
I think it's this is the second time we've worn them
together,
in tandem.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So this is the shirt. So if you're not watching it, if you're not watching on the video, it says, "Don't believe me, just watch" on it. And it kind of felt like an apt day to be like, don't believe us, just watch. Here we are. We've been here a year and still going strong. I think that's the thing. It's not like we're hit a year and it's like, oh God, what are we going to talk about next week?
I walked to the bathroom and I'm like, oh, content.
Yeah. There's another. Oh, sorry. I've got to. Sorry, I have to move my chair back in. I have to do something like, you have wheels. I don't have wheels on my chair, so it's a little harder.
Actually, I've stuck myself,
Good.
So I can't do it. I can't move.
So this morning we decided, but we would celebrate today. So we are going to. We went out to some of our favorite places on the island. We went and visited our friends over at the Koffie House, and this is not paid promotion. They didn't give us free coffee or anything. This is just, we love them, and
we love their coffee.
We love their coffee. This is a new concoction by one of their employees, which we love. So we decided we were going to get some yummy coffee, and she says, drinking the yummy coffee, it's so good, so good. And then we decided we would also get some, like, what's a birthday / anniversary or a
Podcastaversary
without some yummy treats? So
happy Podcastaversary to us. Happy Podcastaversary to us. Happy Podcastaversary to
the universal needs and us.
And us. Happy Podcastaversary to us.
Hey!
And many more.
So there we go. We decided we'd have some super yummies. The funny thing is that I thought we would be a good idea to get a birthday cake. So we got this amazing mocha cake. Now, if you're watching on the video, you can see
mocha lava.
It's, well, you know how mocha, like lava cake, normally the lava's on the inside. Well, in the Florida sun, the lava, i.e. the frosting, is now a lava puddle around the mocha cake, but it still tastes amazing. So,
and I have a delightful. Oh, the floor almost had a delightful
fruit tart. So these came from Moondog, which is another one, and it's a place where we have discussed the business. It's a place where we've had business meetings. It's a place where we have planned podcast episodes. So I don't know about you, but
I'm put this up here so we can. You're gonna go grab yourself whatever would taste good right now if you're able to, and join us for.
And I'm diving in.
Happy bites.
Oh my God, it's so good. But it is going to coat my mouth, so I don't know how much of it I can eat while I'm talking. on the podcast.
Now try and whistle.
That is not happening. Just saying. Cheers to us.
Cheers. Tink.
And to you.
And to you.
For watching.
We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys.
Absolutely.
Or for everybody out there.
We appreciate you so much. Oh my God, that's so good. So, yeah, that's a very good combination. So we just thought that what we would do is we'd have a little celebration today, and we would share a little bit with you about our kind of favorite moments from the last year, from the first season, and some of the things that have been kind of funny and some of the things that have been interesting. And yeah, so what's been one of your favorite moments from season 1?
I had to say one of my favorite moments was, I think it might have been the perfection episode where we first recorded it and didn't hit record on the audio. So we had the perfectly unperfect episode that was so far from perfect because you couldn't hear anything. But that was the point where we had decided, we're like, actually, this episode, we're not doing any editing. Like, however it comes out, whatever happens, it comes out. And from that point on, we were like, that felt different. Like, that felt good. It felt us. Yeah. And when we rewatched that episode in editing, it was like, yeah, that. And so nothing really pivotal. I mean, at that point, us not hitting record was something that happened.
Every now and again. But that was really a changing point in how we did things. And it makes it, I think you get so much more of us. We get to be more of ourselves. And you get to see the content kind of develop right here in front of you because we're not trying to script it and stage it. And it's just... It's so weird to think of where we came from. I can see myself sitting in that bathroom, and I was like, I don't want to be on camera. I don't want to talk on camera. I don't want to read on camera. And I was sitting on my chair, and I was twisting and swiveling, and I had this twisting and swiveling right now. I nearly said sniveling right now. No sniveling.
I had this like cheesy plastered smile, like I had to be smiling the entire time. So the entire episode I smiled, and that's just fucking weird.
It was a little odd.
It was awkward.
It was a little odd. It was a little awkward.
But it got us to here.
Right.
So, I mean, and that's, if we didn't start with that one episode, if we didn't let it be uncomfortable, if we didn't let it be awkward, if we didn't let it be perfectly imperfect when we were trying to get perfect.
Or trying not to get perfect.
Yeah, depending on which episode we're talking about.
Right, absolutely, yeah.
It's all part of the journey and all part of our story. So what about you? Which one of your favorite?
There are so many. I think the thing is that there are so many where it's like, oh yes, we're finally talking about this. Like things like the impact over intention. And when we talked about the apology series, like the apology series was a really big one because it's one of those where it's like, I just want to send that to people. Like where it's like, oh,
I have.
Oh yeah, I have. Yeah. It's like, you've fucked up here. Here's how you apologize. Here's what you do with that. Oh, she says, hitting the sound screen. And I think that that's also one of my favorite things is, as you say, it's the imperfections that have made it. The moments where we've like hit the pop shield or one of my favorite ones actually happened just recently where we were in the middle of recording and somebody walked in the door and scared the crap out of Serena. And it was so funny because we had actually planned to do something different that day. The theme of the podcast, the actual episodes we were going to record were going to be different. And because we changed it up, we went with what felt right. We were actually recording a podcast where it fit so beautifully with what it was that we were talking about that day that we left it in. So I think that I think also recognizing that it's okay to be imperfect and allow ourselves to, like when I had COVID and did you have COVID at the same time as me? No, I don't think so. I had COVID. Oh no, you had your diagnosis.
I had my diagnosis.
And there was this whole thing around, oh crap, we've fallen off the wagon, and that would have been a really easy point in the process to have been like, well, it didn't work out.
We gave it a good try.
Yes. Look at us go. There we went. And that being the end of it. Like it could have easily been the end of the podcast, or we could have ended up sort of falling off and being like, oh, well, let's do it less regularly or what have you. But I think that being able to be doing that little, oh no, where did we go episode, which was very like, it was just us sat on my bed, just being like, hey, this is what's going on. And here's how we're kind of coming back. But I think probably the thing that I've enjoyed most has been when people have reached out to us and asked us, like, can you do an episode on this? Like, because they want to hear about something in particular. So when we know we're recording an episode which is speaking directly to somebody and something specifically that they need, that is my favorite thing in the world to do.
I have to say, like, now that you've said that, when kind of on the
going in for the fruit tart, just saying.
On the flip side of that is when people are like, oh my God, I listened to that episode. That's what I needed to hear. Like, I needed this episode on this day. And that's like, and it's not like the cookies, like we're like, oh yeah, blah, 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 like, eat us up.
Awesome.
Like, yeah, it's more like, yeah, like
a mouthful of tart.
I'm just so glad that we're actually putting out content that people want and that's helpful to them and that they feel comfortable to be like, yes, like, can you go into this further? Like, you know, a lot of our series start because somebody's like, hey, you talked about this. Can you do some more on that? It's like, yes, like,
absolutely.
We have to. Not that Claire and I go into boxes or minimize much, but we had to kind of cut down how we like talk about all of our stuff because we could go off on the same topic for days. Like it's
and have
yeah, well yeah,
not on the podcast, but we have
yeah we have, and it just keeps coming back up. So like we really want to stress, like if you want to hear it, let us know.
We want to record it. Like we want to record the ones that we know people will listen to and we know people are going to resonate with, and the ones that are really going to help people, because that's ultimately what this is all about. Like this is a body of work that has profoundly transformed both of our lives, and we just want to help other people access it, understand it, and figure out how to get benefit from it in the same way that we have.
Yeah, she's drinking and I'm eating. That's the only problem with the celebrating during a podcast.
Distracted by the food stuff. So I'm curious, like, what are you excited about that's still to come? Like, what
this bite of tart.
She says just as she's about to put something in her mouth.
I'll put that down for a moment. What was the question again?
Like, what are you like in season 2? Like with what you know that we've got planned, with the ideas that we have and the things that we've got coming. Like, what are you excited about in terms of season 2 and where that's going to take us, and what you know is likely to come up on the horizon?
You know what I like the most is that we have a general plan, but I have no fucking clue what's going to happen. And that's probably one of the most amazing things, because we're going to go with what feels right. We're going to go with what's present. We're going to go with what is like part of our flow. And so I can say like, I'm excited for all these things we have planned, but the way we work, like life happens. We're human. You might have heard that once or twice. Like we don't know what's going to, Human.
Must remember that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Noted.
Plug it into the computer up there.
Noted. I'm so tempted to steal that bite that you've just
I'll probably
carved
whack
out
it
for
at
yourself. I'm like, ooh, there's a bite of tart right there. You know that wouldn't stop me.
I'm drinking almond milk.
Oh, she's drinking up. Damn it. Fine.
The one thing that literally would. I licked my finger and then wiped it on my little piece of tart so she didn't steal it, so I can think clearly about what I'm thinking about, not my little piece of tart. I mean,
she's drinking almond milk and I'm allergic to nuts. So it's like, it's not even like, oh, that's not going to stop me because we've drunk out the same thing innumerable occasions. But
I just didn't want you to take that. I didn't.
I don't actually want to kill you.
Yeah, no.
Although you have tried on occasion.
I have, but that's why our friendship's so close, because I tried, I admitted it before I did it, and I stopped it. I was like, ooh, not yet.
So is there anything you think, I mean, you're absolutely right. I think what we love about this is we don't know where it's going to go, and we're going to go with what feels right and how we feel guided to, or the things that we feel, and by the listeners, like what is it that you want to hear about? What are the things that we can share that are going to be helpful for you? But in terms of the things that we've kind of talked about, is there anything in particular that you're like, well, that would be fun, like I'm looking forward to that? Or
the Larry episode.
Of course. Of course.
How many Larry episodes do we have to have before we get people consistently being like, you should talk about this. You should talk about this. You should talk about this, just so I don't throw in another Larry.
I don't know that I want to test that theory. I'm not sure I really want to do the experiment.
But he has so many costumes he can wear.
Yes.
No, I'm really excited about now that we've kind of laid the found work.
The found work.
Yep.
The groundwork or the foundations?
Both of those
Both
things.
of them. All of them. All the things.
It's solid. Now we really get to talk about like what the everyday stuff is, how this applies to everyday life, to everybody, and how.
Yeah.
You almost done?
What?
Did you finish your coffee before?
No, I'm swirling it. I'm mixing it. No, I'm not done. Don't worry.
Usually I finish my coffee like eons before she does. But no, I'm really excited to see where it goes in that sense of like how many of the different things where we're not focused on, no, we have to get this to make sure that
we have to get across this principle or this piece of content, where it's more just like, and the nuance that comes up within that of this is, we've talked about this before, but that was that layer. There's also this and this layer that's underneath it.
And exactly what you just said, the nuance of it. There's so much nuance in this, and I think that we're actually going to get to finally get really into the nuance aspect, not the
surface level.
The surface level, not the more, I'm going to say more black and white sides of it. Like,
or maybe
really,
more simplistic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like really just kind of dive into like, this is what it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that too.
What about you?
I think there's a couple of things that I'm really excited about. I'm really excited to do podcasts in a different location. So we've talked about doing a podcast day out on the boat, which would be super fun. I'm not sure how that's going to work in practice, but we're going to have some fun trying to figure it out. Wow, you did that in one. That was a big mouthful she just took.
I regret it.
You regret it. I thought you said I don't regret it.
It's too much.
So while Serena is trying to consume what she's just put in her mouth, I will share some of the other things I'm excited about. So we talked about doing a podcast episode on the boat. We actually, one of our favorite places that we, it's really good, right? One of the places that we went and explored this morning, like to get our coffee, they were like, oh, you could do an episode, like if you want to record your podcast here, you could do that. We're like, ooh, we like that idea. So we're going to explore that. But I think one of the things that I'm really looking forward to is, and we haven't figured out how we're going to do this yet, but one of the things we would really like to do is we would like to start to put a needs lens on some of the situations that are happening in day-to-day life, and even some like popular movies or TV shows, because sometimes having that relatability of like, oh, there's this thing, these characters I know, this situation I can see, when you can put a needs lens on that and be like, oh, so what's going on here is this and this need is up, oh, and this need is up for this person. It helps you to really get it, like when you have these kind of relatable, because that's one of the benefits of when somebody works with us one-on-one, is that we can relate the exact things that are happening in their life to the needs, and we can put the needs lens on. Okay, you've got this situation going up. Okay, this is this and this need for you. Well, this is this and this need for them. So here's how you would go about navigating it. Well, obviously we can't do that on a podcast. I mean, who knows? Maybe we will. Maybe we'll get somebody on and we'll do a one-to-one actually on live on the podcast at some point, so you can kind of see how that works. But actually finding a way of it relating to most people is a little difficult, because these are very specific situations. But actually when you understand it, when that's kind of the next best thing is for us to take these real life situations, these TV and movie scenarios, and to be able to go, okay, so what is going on from a needs context right now is this. And you could kind of look at it and go, oh, and that's where a lot of the nuance starts to make sense, because you can look at it from a surface level thing and you go, well, it's obviously this need that's up right now. And you go, well, yes, that's the obvious one, but actually it's probably this and this as well. And also when you understand this character's backstory and that they've experienced this trauma or they had this situation happen to them, then it's likely to be triggering this and this need as well. So that's something I'm really looking forward to. And we haven't figured out whether we're going to do that as just a monthly thing as part of our regular podcast, or whether we may do some little pop-up podcasts that might be live where we do those sorts of things. Yeah, we haven't figured that out yet, but I'm kind of excited to do that and sort of see how that starts to manifest.
I'm excited about that one too. Actually, this morning I was video chatting back and forth with a friend of mine, and she was watching a documentary, one that we've both watched, and she's like, I just don't understand. I don't understand how this could happen. I don't understand how this person can get here. I don't understand how this person is doing this. And I immediately, it was like, needs this. This is how they're doing this. This is why they're doing this. And it just, that lens makes it click, and it makes the, especially in the documentary, like you can see this little window that they're showing you. But when you put the lens on it, it's like no longer do you just see through that window. You can see what's past the walls as well. And it's like it.
And a lot of the time you can see, sorry, I'm still having a bit of tart myself, is that you can see the roots of something. Because a lot of the time you might be able to see some of the reasons, and even some of the documentary filmmakers may offer like some of those perspectives. But when you get down to what is the root cause of this behavior, what is the root cause of this course of action, that is the thing that makes it go, oh, okay. Because also, if you understand what root need is creating these behaviors, and you understand, okay, well, this is a different way that you can meet that same need without engaging in those behaviors, it also offers a path for us to be able to say, okay, so in the moments where we might be tempted to do something we know it actually isn't the best course of action, but we're doing it to try to meet one of our needs, we can use that and apply it and go, oh, okay, I could do this instead to meet this need. And that's one of the things. I think one of the podcast episodes that we will probably go into a little bit more, we touched on it briefly in one of the episodes, is that understanding that the difference between when you're meeting your needs in a really like nourishing, supportive way, it doesn't feel the same way as the quick hits. It doesn't meet them in the same way as those like socially acceptable addictions, like the Facebook, like the stuff that is literally designed to act as a dopamine hit. That's literally how the algorithms are designed in social media and various other things that we kind of end up in these addictive patterns with. It doesn't feel the same way, but it also doesn't come with the same cost. And I think that's something that we will add. We'll expand on that a little bit more in an upcoming episode, because understanding that difference and recognizing it's not going to feel the same way to meet your need in a healthy, supportive, or not healthy, but supportive and nourishing way, as it will if you get that quick hit, but you're also not going to get the cost. So it's going to be something that you can build and sustain going forward. And when you kind of start to understand that, it's like, oh, hold on a second. Well, I could do it this way. It's not going to feel quite the same way, but actually I'm not getting the kickback from it as well. And it's not costing me.
Doesn't directly relate to what you just said, but jump like
you go right ahead.
A paragraph before. I want to invite everybody, if you're watching something, I know we can, with the way that streaming services are, like it seems that something becomes really popular and a lot of people watch it at once.
Because the algorithm is promoting it to everyone at the same time. Maybe.
Very possible.
Almost certainly. Anyway, carry on.
There's a documentary on that too.
There is.
If you watch something and you're like, I wonder what the needs lens is on this, or there are a lot of times where I go to Claire, I'm like, okay, can we talk through this? Because I can't
I need you to watch this because I can sense there's something going on, but I can't figure out what it is, and I know you'll be able to tell me what it is.
Or I see this, and this. Is that what I'm seeing? And she's like, yes, and over here. And it's like, oh, yeah. So if there's something, if you've watched a show or a documentary and you're like, I wonder what they think of this. Ask us. We are more than happy to tell you, and we're more than happy to put a needs lens on anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And that could be in any situation. It could be a TV show. It could be a situation that's happening in real life. Like you're watching something that's kind of playing out in the public eye and be like, what is going on here? I don't understand this, or I don't understand how someone could do this, or why somebody would do this. Because that's often the thing, is that we're trying to understand the why. And the thing is that putting the needs lens on it doesn't make somebody's behavior okay. But what it does, sometimes it gives context to it. And it's like, okay, I can understand why this is happening. I don't agree with it still. And I think that's not cool. And I think that this is something that we should be looking to change. And okay, here's why it's happening, and this is therefore how we start to change that. So I think that can be really helpful as well. Yeah, I love that idea. So thank you for offering that. So is there anything else you want to share about like season 1 or season 2 and like this kind of little transition time we're in between the two? She's just wobbling back and forth.
Well, I'm just excited. Like, I'm excited that we have a year behind us. I'm excited that we have the future
however long ahead.
The future ahead of us. And like, I never didn't expect to get here. Like, I never expected not to get to this.
You didn't expect that we wouldn't arrive at this moment.
Right. But I never actually thought it might happen. Like, I never consciously thought like, oh, there's going to be a point where we're going to have been filming for a year.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's the point. You start a podcast to continue a podcast.
Right. Yes.
Usually I assume I actually am not a podcast person.
Well, some of them, their podcast series are about something and they're for a finite period of time. So yeah, I mean, yes and no.
But
the kind of podcast that we do, yes, you do it planning to continue doing it.
Right. But that's so exciting. It's just, we have like a legit podcast.
Right? Absolutely.
Like,
and the other thing I want to encourage you to do if you're listening is that maybe we'll find a way of doing this somewhere. I wonder if we could start like a Google Doc in which we can like list all of the episodes and all of the show notes for the episode. So if you're like looking for a particular episode, you could go find it. Like that might be a fun thing to do.
Look into. And you can always reach out to us in our Nourish Your Needs group on social media, Facebook, Instagram. And if you're like, I think you guys did an episode about this, like we're more than happy to
ask us. We will point you in the right
direction. But I do like that idea.
But I'm thinking maybe we create a Google Doc so that if you're like if you're getting involved in a debate on Facebook or Instagram or what have you, and you're like, I know they've done an episode, like the apology one is a great example. It's like someone's screwed up and you want to give them advice on how, like, here, go listen to this episode. So maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll start a Google Doc where you can go online and you can search for apology, or you could search for trauma, or you could search for emotions or something like that, so that you can find the episodes that you're looking for quickly and easily, because that way you can then send those individual episodes to people. You could send it in a message, you can send it in a text, you could send it, post it in a Facebook comment, so that so you don't have to do the labor of regurgitating what it is that we're sharing. You can actually just send people directly to the source and have them hear it for themselves. So I'm wondering if that might be a fun thing for us to do. Because it was funny actually. I was actually speaking to a mentor of mine recently, and I was saying, oh, you can always send an episode to people, and then she was like, oh, I forgot you can do that. And maybe what we'll do is we'll put in the links to that episode on Apple Podcasts and that episode on Spotify and Google Podcasts, so that if you want to send that link to somebody, it's like literally copy the link, send it over, and that's a good way of being able to share this and help other people benefit from it. If you found it helpful, then by all means share about the podcast, but maybe sharing the individual episodes which you think might be helpful to people would be really cool. So I think that might be a fun thing to add to our little plethora of podcasting. So she says that like the last thing I need is something more to do when it comes to the podcast, but actually I think that could be a really helpful tool for people to use. So yeah, we'll get on that as well. So yeah, I think that I'm in agreement with you. I'm excited for what there is to come next.
Is everybody out there excited?
Are you excited? Are you excited?
I hear yeses. Yeah. Lots of yeses.
I hear this like, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, and we will gonna the language is, we are on fire today. I think that the treats might have gone to my head. So
your tongue.
The little yummies have gone to my tongue. Yeah. Well, that sounds a bit weird. Anyway, moving swiftly on from that, we're excited about what we've got ahead, and we've got some really great episodes coming up in season 2. So stay tuned, watch this space. Thank you so much for being with us. Like, we cannot express our gratitude for you listening and being with us every week, and sharing and supporting us and messaging us and letting us know what you need. Like, it means the world to us, and it's the reason we do what we do. So thank you so much for being with us. Remember to take care of yourself, stay safe, and between now and next time, to continue to meet your own needs. Lots of love. Bye-bye.
Bye, friends.
Oh, and we forgot.
Happy Podcastaversary. Happy Podcastaversary. Happy Podcastaversary. Happy Podcastaversary.
There we go.
Versary.
They were meant to be confetti cannons, but that didn't really work. But they work if you throw them.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. You can just... Ta-da!
We'll see you next time, everybody. Lots of love. Well, that was a bit of a bust.
No, it wasn't a bust.
That's it for today.
If you like what you heard, please subscribe, rate, and give us a written review,
as it will help more people find us. And remember, if someone questions your ability to do something, you tell them. Don't believe me? Just watch.
Well, shit. It really is that simple.